good, YouTube? Quinn Wade coming to y'all with that basketball analysis on analysisplayground.com and on YouTube. We're going to talk about what to expect from the Houston Rockets. This was one of the biggest surprise team last year as they finished 41 and 41, third in the Southwest Division. And they was a team that actually finished 500, and majority of their roster was young guys that still was learning the game and still learn how to play the game on the NBA level while still adjusting. And you have to give a lot of credit to the coach that got fired from the Celtics, Ime Udoka, coming in there teaching them how, I need you to be this, I need you to do this, I need you to do that. I'm gonna put you in these type of positions and these type of areas on the court, and I want you guys to simplify and minimalize and flatline the offense a little bit. And I think that was the recipe for success. Just having more consistency of what we are trying to do, what we need to do, and what we should be doing, and having that proper understanding was one of the big reasons why the Houston Rockets ended up becoming a team that you had to prepare for and you had to respect as the season continued to come and go. They ended up ending exactly where they thought that they should, and they just surprised the whole entire NBA because none of us thought that they'd be that good. Well, they ended up picking up some more pieces, and we can talk about that now. Guys like Steven Adams, they already have a big man, but it's good to have a rim runner and a guy that can protect the paint and a guy that can just focus on just doing set screens, roll to the basket, and he can hit the floaters and the push shots. If he can't get all the way to the basket or he feel like he can knock down an easier shot, he can pick between the two because this team has a lot of great athletes and they use their athleticism to their maximum level, which they should do because it's a weapon that you have to be able to be a great player and to be able to be tough to defend, which ends up breaking down the defense and allowing you to give your teammates easier shots and easier plays for them to execute and finish, which is, exactly what you want to be offensively. And Dylan Brooks is another guy that's been a okay defender. He gets in you. He's a little trolly, probably the biggest troll in the NBA right now. He's always doing something goofy, always doing something silly, always doing something nonsense. But he gets in your head, and he's a guy that takes up your airspace. He likes to touch you. He likes to bump you. He likes to knock you off a little bit balance wise, and he likes to kind of try to break the rules too until it depends on if the referee gonna let it be physical, and if it's physical he's gonna be one of the best out there after he take your airspace up. Then he's just about making you uncomfortable and making you take shots you really don't want to take, and that's his style of play when it comes to defense. But he still has to be able to knock down shots. I think that's something that he has shown that he's off and on about doing. He has to be at least a solid 3 point shooter like he's been. He's going to be able to need to knock down mid range or some type of layup or be able to get to the paint and finish some type of dunk because they need him to be a huge pivotal piece for them because that was one of the players that they wanted to pay a significant amount of their cap for, and he has to deliver unless it wasn't really worth it because they have other guys that starting over him in other positions or has more potential than he does. And I can see them being two-way players if they're taught the right way. And Ime has come from a strong defensive coaching staff, even in San Antonio, so he knows how to, get the best out of this team defensively, which he actually showed the improvement on the team when he has coached last year. So it makes sense. Um, Dante out of Oregon, he's not going to play that much because that's the purpose of getting Steven Adams. He's going to be more of a third string like center, just going to be tall, just going to be lanky, might not even make the roster. But so far, it's still worth mentioning him. Tari Eason, he's solid. I like what he brings to the table. He can knock down shots and he can move out the way. He can camouflage. He can also create a shot just a little bit. I feel like he's one of the fan favorite Rockets right now just because he can always hit those threes and he can always use his length and his size to be able to finish a little bit. If he can get a little bit more contact and be a better free throw shooter slash rebounder, I think that will be great because he's already grabbing 7 a game in 21 minutes. So he's already showing you that he can possibly be a guy that can get you a double double. And he's very, very young at 23. So that's a lot of promise of a great potential player that just not playing enough because the roster is just that loaded right now with young talent that's really ready to come out and prove themselves, which they have done the last 2 years, especially last year. And they won't be a surprise team no more because of that. But Jalen Green is one of their best players. Like we knew that he possibly would be coming out the draft at number two. He's a guy that's their best scorer to me because he can get to the basket, he can create his own shot, he can dunk right over you, he can come right at you. He's a decent free throw shooter at 80%. He also causes so much chaos attacking and using his handle to get wherever he want on the court or to create his own shot that he's able to average 3.5 assists. He's also helping with the rebounds last year, 5 rebounds instead of the 3 that he was averaging before. Obviously, his efficiency ain't the greatest. His shooting from 3 ain't the greatest, but he caused a lot of havoc and a lot of chaos when he's on the court just because you have to pay attention to him because then he'll just fly right by you. He'll just go right past you and end up making your guy an open guy, or he can just finish the play himself. So, he uses his athleticism a whole lot when he plays, and once he slows down and once he understands the game and reads the game and have a better feel for the game, he's going to really be a dangerous player, and his body is getting better. Like if he can keep bulking up so he can take contact and he can be able to go through people or knock people off or bump people off, that's going to just make him better as a player and make him a lot more unstoppable. But it's just the little things that he got to continue to add to his game if he wants to excel and be one of the best shooting guards in the league, which he's not that far from being in there. I would say Jalen Green probably is top 10 or close to it, but that really wouldn't be surprising to anybody if I told people that, especially because he was drafted number 2. You do expect him to be great right away, and he already had a 20-plus point season, and last year he only averaged 19. He just got to, mesh better with his teammates, play off his teammates better, and set his teammates up more, and I think his job would get easier if he can just do them small little incremental changes to his game and just adapt a little bit more and not force it as much. Jeff Green, he's old. He's the veteran. He's the athlete. He's a guy that can make shots and make plays. He can knock down some threes sometimes too. He can get out in transition and still run it real well, even at age 38. And he's a guy that's a good locker room presence for a team that's still trying to learn how to win, learn how he's a champion too with Denver. So it makes sense to add him to this roster. And he fits what they're trying to do offensively and defensively. So I can't really blame them for going after him, and I think he's going to contribute. Nate Hinton, I don't think he's going to play that much. He's too low on the depth roster to me. But if anybody gets injured, he'll have an opportunity possibly to play 10 to 15 minutes. Aaron Holiday still has shown that he can be a decent backup point guard. He's quick. He's fast. He's able to knock down shots very easily. I think that he's decent from the field. He's decent from 3 his whole entire career when he gets minutes, and he can get to the free throw line a little bit. And he's a decent playmaker. You can't really tell because he's not gonna play too many minutes, but the numbers don't really tell the full truth of how good of a player Aaron Holiday is. Jock Landale, he's a big body, but he's not going to get too much playing time on this team either. But I can see them using him as a guy that can possibly space the floor. But if he can't do that, then he's just going to be a rim runner that finishes a lot or get dump offs a lot or deep catches if he even plays in games. But that's all you got to do when you're 6'11" anyway. Zach Vane and Jermaine Samuels Jr. and another guy like Nate Williams, they're not going to play. They just fighting for the last couple spots on the roster just to see if they can make a roster or have opportunity to continue to play in the NBA. And that's all that they can really do is put themselves in a situation where they feel like they're needed and they feel like they're wanted. And then they got to continue to put the work in as players to be able to stay locked in on these rosters because this roster is guard heavy and forward heavy, and some of their best players are. So they don't really need guys like this as much because they like the guys that's already starting and getting the bulk of the minutes, and they always putting in more work. So they're not going to be relinquishing those roles anytime soon. Reed Shepherd, another shooter. I think he's going to be one of their favorite players coming off the bench being able to handle the ball, being able to get to his spots, being able to pull up the mid-range jumper, being able to pull up the three, coming off dribble handoffs, coming off screens, or just sitting there moving without the basketball and being able to knock shots down when he gets the basketball. I think that's going to be his major role. And then you got Apern Shingun, a guy that's been highly covered with his ability to have quick moves in the post, being able to knock down some type of shots, being able to get to the free throw line, being able to set screens and do dribble handoffs and pass the ball, and being able to stay out the way sometimes. He's one of the more fun going centers in the league with a lot of the development potential. And his defense isn't the best or isn't the greatest, especially as a rim protector, but he's working on it. He's trying to make it work. He's putting in the effort that he can to cover as many spaces as he can on the court, or using his big body as just a wall to be able to defend the paint as best as he can. And since he's 6'11" and he's 243, he can use his body that way. He just got to be quick enough to get in the way or quick enough to meet these people at the rim. And then that would be his best way to deter people at the paint or block shots or contest shots. And he's starting to figure it out. He's starting to get it done. But offensively, he's one of their best players now, averaging 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists last year, showing you that he can actually live up to the hype that people have been giving him. And he already has came and shown that he can do it. Now it's just about helping your team win more games so you can make the playoffs. Jabari Smith Jr. is a big body. A lot of people liked him coming out of Auburn. He can rebound really well now for his size, and he's very quick. He's very knowledgeable. He puts more effort in certain categories now, more than he did his freshman year at college and his rookie year in the NBA. But his efficiency went up to high volume scoring is decent now. His 3-point shooting, he's taking a little bit more and he's knocking it down at a better clip because a lot of his shots are more wide open and more catch and shoot, and he's not really forcing it or taking tough ones off the dribble like he was doing before. He's playing more within the flow of the offense, and that helps him get better shots. And he's also attacking the rim a lot more with his length and his size, and he's shooting the free throws better. We would need him to keep that up if he wants to be a huge difference maker for this team, and ability to use his size and strength even to box out more and pay attention more. I think that can continue to help his rebounds increase, and that's something you need to do if you want your team to win. And I think that he can continue to do that, and just continuing to add to his handle game, being able to add to his pull-up game, being able to add to a little bit of a face-up game. I think that can help him become a better offensive player. And if they have more people to get a ball to, and they have more people that can score quickly or be in positions to score quicker, and you're confident in that, and they are too, that only helps the team become better anyway. So I think that that's something they should continue to look into, and that's why they drafted him so high, because he had that size and he had that quickness and he had that touch. And now you just got to build everything else around him. And this is only year 3, and he's showing incremental to huge improvements in certain areas. So you should be happy as a team because of that. Jae'Sean Tate is another guy that he can play the guard position. I think he's one of the best guards on this roster, and he showed that he can be a double-figure scorer on this team or in general. And I think that they're going to need him to be that. He can come in and be a microwave type guy, make some shots, make some plays, stay in and out the way. And I think that that's really good to see. He is getting older than the core, but he's still young enough to grow with them and contribute. Amen Thompson, I like what he does defensively, but it's just hard to have him play a significant amount of minutes when your best players are guards and wings that you already have playing. So I just feel like he's on the roster that don't really need him as much and don't really want to use him as much, because they have better players at the top of the key, and they have better players in the corners because he's not a great shooter. And if you can't do that, they have guys that can do that and score off the dribble. So that ends up making him look less attractive as a player. But I do feel like he can, eventually try to do a whole off season on his mid range, do a whole off season on his pull ups, and then continue to have great defense. and that may be enough to continue to crack the rotation like he was able to do last year. And then Fred Van Fleet, he's an all-star caliber player, has shown that multiple times, has become an all-star in Cleveland. He's a 17-point scorer last year, 8 assists, using his size and his strength to be able to go past screens, to be able to knock people around, to be able to create space. He shot great from three, being able to give them floor spacing or give them a threat at the 3 point line. He also can attack the defense and put the ball on the floor and make mid rangers or floaters. Not great at it, but he still has the ability to do it. And he also reads the floor decently as a point guard. I said that they need him to play more point guard than they need him to play two guard, like he was kind of doing in Toronto. And then he was able to get 8 assists, and then he was able to play off the ball and not get in the way. And so I think he was the right point guard for them to choose, and it ended up making a big difference. And that's one of the biggest reasons why they won 41 games, was because of a guy like Flair Van Fleet coming in there trying to facilitate, get everybody involved, being able to give them space and being able to attack the defense, being able to get to the paint and kick it out or dump it off. Them the plays that they needed to have and they wanted to do, and Fred Van Fleet was able to give them that basically automatically since he started, playing for the Rockets, and he was a big difference maker for them. And then Cam Whitmore, just a fast, strong transition runner and a guy that can make some type of shots in the half court. He's only 20 years old, so he has more ability to get better. He do need to make the corner threes. He do need to be able to attack when the pump fake goes or when they close out too hard, being able to pump fake and or put the ball on the floor and be able to get to the rim and get a dunk or a layup or a free throw attempt. He shot 67% from the free throw line. He needs to continue to increase that. 35% from three is respectable, but it'd be better if you continue to shoot better at that, just as a confidence builder. And 45% from the field is decent. And I like the fact that he was a double figure scorer in 18 minutes, showing you that he's really, really good. And he's really a big difference maker when he makes it to the court. And I feel like he always has been that way. And even in, college, and you just watch how fast and how big and how strong he is, and how quick he can get to the rim, and how fast and strong that he can dunk it, and you can't really stop him when he gets there. And he has really gave them that explosion and that athleticism that they needed to be able to have people that can get to the basket themselves or be able to cut and help them get them opportunities offensively. So it ends up always making sense of them, being a team that can do the things that they can do. And he also can be a solid defender because he's just so big and so strong. And you can't really blow past him unless you over dribble, which makes the shot clock goes lower. And then next thing you know, you're shooting up a shot just because you have to. And that's the type of defense that we have to play. And if we playing that type of defense, we living with the decision that you make regardless, because that's what defenders do: make it uncomfortable, make it tough. And I think that Cam Whitmore could be a great defender in the future too. But I like what I seen out of this roster. They got cutters, they got slashers, they got shooters, they got guys that can make plays, that can make reads. They have guys with so much potential defensively, and they have so many guys that can potentially be great shooters. But I would say, if I had to be honest about it, this is a play-in caliber team. Like last year, they only got to win 1 game to 2 games, depending on what position they get. And this is a team that, for the most part, stays healthy. If they can stay healthy this season and show improvements and beat up on the bad teams and beat up on the teams that's injured a lot and continue to focus on just winning games in general, they can be one of the toughest teams to play against, just because they have a lot of guys that is hungry and want to prove themselves and want to play well and want to show that they can play well, even if it's for a position for another team, even if it brings raises their trade value, or even if it's just the fact that they just love playing with the team they already on. This team has loaded amount of talent, and it's just going to be crazy to see who they keep and what they're going to do in the future when this team gets up for paydays. Who is they going to be keeping, long term? And I think this is a season that they can really evaluate that and say are the founding pieces of the future, and this is what we really want to continue to build our team around 3 to 4 to 5 years from now. And now we know we can win. Now we know we can compete. Now let's validate that with a playoff berth. And I think they have a potential chance of doing that. But, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be handed to them. They got to continue to get better. They got to continue to play well. And they got to continue to defend at a higher level. That's another thing they got to continue to try to do. It's not easy. Not supposed to be easy. But it's fun to watch this team, and it's fun to see what they're going to do. And they have so many exciting players doing crazy things on a nightly basis that they're almost must-watch TV to most people that are NBA heads / NBA fans, the hardcore ones, you can say. Other than that, comment, like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell for more analysis. If you like this video, check out my older videos on my channel. If you like these videos, I got breakdowns, tributes, 2K, all different types of NBA content to upload basically every single day. So if you love this type of content, this is the channel for you. And if you already been on the channel, check out my videos and my older ones too. It might be something you missed, maybe something you wanted to watch that you didn't get a chance to. So this is the perfect time to do it when you got free time. Other than that, thanks for watching. I'm gone.